We is live. We is live. I do not have my light with me. I usually have a lights up in the background because it can get a bit dark. Right now, don't seem too bad though. Right now, don't seem too bad, but it is getting late. It is what's the time actually? I don't even know. What's the time? It is 11 minutes past 9 p.m. I am in Abbey Wood. And figured I'd just stop for a little bit, talk to y'all for a little bit, see if anybody's online, and just chat about whatever. I do have some apple turnovers with me because you know I like to eat. And you know I like to eat. You know I like to get on these live streams, sit in my car, and shove something in my mouth while spewing words out of my mouth. That's pretty much what I do, I guess. I let words out or put some food in. That's kind of how it goes. So this is that's all right. I mean, it's an apple turnover. It's not gonna be bad, right? But let me just chat for a little bit. I tell you like something that's on my mind. Because excuse me, a long time ago, before the wind, before the snow, you know, in the previous life that I used to live, I used to give feedback as part of my job. You know, I trained people, I managed people, and yeah, I used to give feedback as part of what I was employed to do when you're training. And there's a few things I learnt during that time that I'd like to share with you guys because I think it applies to a lot of how we treat people on sort of a day to day, and something that I see a lot of, you know, something I experienced a bit of in my personal life and what I've seen other people do, and it's this idea of appreciation and the idea that you don't have to show appreciation for the things that people do because those are just things that's supposed to do anyway, unless it's something big. Then you don't really need to show appreciation. That's the general kind of idea, the general kind of feeling, because if it's just like regular stuff that you're just supposed to do anyway, you shouldn't need to be thanked for that. You shouldn't need to have any kind of appreciation for that because you're supposed to just do that anyway. And it's not, strictly speaking, a wrong position to take. And in fact, yeah, you don't have to show appreciation for anything if you don't want to. That is true. But the problem that I see is that not only do people not show appreciation for things, they're often very quick to point out the mistakes that person makes, the things that they get wrong. So not only are they never shown appreciation for all the things they do, they're pointing out all the things that they do wrong. And you just kind of see how that could affect people in such bad ways, because if the only thing a person ever hears from you is how much they've screwed up or what they've gotten wrong or what they didn't know or the mistake that they made, if that's all they ever hear from you, the feeling or the perception you create is that they're just a screw up, that there's no redeeming features about it, they're just a screw up. Now I'd hope that's not true. Right? And maybe that's not what you intend, but that's the feeling that gets created, that they're just a screw up, that they don't know anything, they're stupid, they're clumsy, they're a klutz, they're this, and you got to keep pointing out all the things they're doing wrong. And when you see somebody who goes through that, and when they finally get appreciated for something, you really see how much it means to them, because like it takes a lot out of a person without them realizing when they're never appreciated, when they're never valued for the things they do. And let's be honest, a lot of what we do probably is just stuff you're supposed to do anyway, and maybe it's little and whatever, but you're still doing it, right? And when you're never valued or never appreciated for it, and then you're only ever hearing about when you screw up, yeah, it creates that feeling of being valueless. And depending on who's doing that, depending on who's not showing appreciation, depending on who's only points out all those bad things, that could end up being internalized to some degree, where that person starts to believe that they are just a screw up. And then you see how that affects a person's confidence when it comes to interacting with the world. And all it takes is just to let somebody know that they are appreciated, that they are valued, that you see them, that you notice the things they do, no matter how regular those things may be. So yeah, that's what's on my mind. Because yeah, like I said, I used to well, pretty much do that for a living, and there was certainly some mistakes that I made during that time where, you know, I wasn't always letting people know what they're doing right and that sort of thing, and it creates such an animosity with somebody. Because like, you ever talk to somebody, right? Or maybe you're or somebody tried to talk to you. Maybe this happened to you, where somebody's called you over and they haven't said anything. They just kind of called you over, called your name, and immediately you've just been like, oh, what now? Right? Has that ever happened? Have you ever been the person who's been like, oh, what now? Or maybe when you called somebody over and you notice that sigh on their face when they just been, oh, flipping out. You know, why do you think that happens? Why do you think that happens? You know, if you're only ever pointing out the things that somebody does wrong, it creates a negative perception of yourself that they have of you. They're not going to want to talk to you very much, you know, outside of what they have to. And you might find that when they no longer have to be around you, they'll choose not to. And there's something that you see with like parents when their kids grow up and, you know, move out or whatever, and they don't have to be around them as much, and their kids choose not to be around their parents. That's maybe not the reason in all cases. So probably not, I'm sure it's not all cases, but it's not the reason. Maybe not even the only reason, but I'd imagine it's amongst the reasons, possibly amongst the biggest reasons, because ultimately you don't want to be around somebody who just constantly points out your flaws, you know. And it's not that they're wrong. Of course, if you're making mistakes, you know, people should say something, especially if you're happening to make the same mistake multiple times, or you maybe just don't know something. Somebody should say something. Not saying that, but it's just that when that is all you ever hear from somebody, it just makes you not want to be around that person. So your kids grow up, they get to that point where they've moved out, they've got their own place, maybe they're living with their friends, maybe they're living with their partners or whatever, maybe they live in their own, it doesn't really matter, but they don't have to be around you so much, and then they choose not to. And I see sometimes you go look at on social media where like parents are talking about things like, oh yeah, my kids, you know, they don't hang around me so much, they don't call me so much. It's like, yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Maybe you just need to show some appreciation and be in the habit of showing appreciation. And not just pointing out all the things they do wrong. Then none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. And we're all trying to get through life in the best way we can. We're going to screw up along the way, but it doesn't help to have somebody just constantly letting you know that you screwed up. But yeah. if you've got someone in your life that's doing right, and maybe they make a mistake every now and then, happens, but let them know that they're doing right. Let them know that you value them. Make sure they know that. Because it will make, when they do make a mistake, you need to point it out. It will make that a whole lot easier for them to digest, and make it a whole lot less awkward to have conversations afterwards. If your positivity outweighs your negativity, it just makes it a whole lot easier. But when your negativity towards them outweighs the positivity towards them, then that's the perception you create, and you might get that. What now? Every time you call them. But yeah, that's what's on my mind. I think there's a big, just general lack of appreciation that we have towards other people, and like I said, I'm guilty of this myself. I don't always show appreciation to the people around me, and I should. So this is me talk to myself. Well, literally talk to myself right now. But this is me talking to myself as much as I'm talking to anybody else. Like, your positivity needs to outweigh your negativity. And the positivity you put out into the world, needs to outweigh the negativity. Because otherwise it just causes problems that just don't need to be there. So yeah, if that applies to you, maybe that's something to consider. Well, yeah, I got some crisps as well, actually. I bought this multi-pack of crisps a while back, maybe a few days ago, actually. There's like 6 crisps in a packet, and the whole thing was 74p. So yeah, these are super cheap crisps. Like, they're not good crisps. But I made it last. So I don't eat them all in one go. So I just kind of kept them in my car and eat them bit by bit. So I made it last. Cheap crisps. I is just remembering something though. Oof. Everything's all tangled up. Everything's all tangled up. There we go. That's a bit better. But yeah, these are salt and vinegar flavor ones. Double turnip was alright. Now it's time for the crisps. Oh, yeah. Now, how's everyone else doing today? I'm mostly like, I was up late last night. So by the time I woke up this morning, this morning, I hadn't really slept that much. So I spent the early part of the day, just like most of the early part of the day, just like being awake, but not being able to sleep. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened to you. It ain't nice. Because it's like you're too tired to do anything, but for whatever reason, you can't sleep. So it's like, what are you like? Well, I can't sleep. Let me get up and do something. We're just too tired to get up. Sammy! How you doing, Sam? How's the day going? How's the day been? You just missed me devouring an apple turnover, but you're in time to watch me finish these salt and vinegar crisps. But I was talking about appreciation. Yeah, man. And how it's important to show appreciation for things. Because I feel like a lot of us, it's too hot for me today. It's quite hot earlier, isn't it? It's getting a bit cooler now as the evening sets in. I've got a cut in my mouth. Feels like I've got a cut in my mouth. I can't really. I'm not gonna open my mouth and show you. So we're good. It ain't that kind of live stream. I ain't gonna show you inside of my mouth. Probably put you off whatever you're eating. But I feel like I've got a cut in my mouth. Hope not. Oh, there's a scratch. But yeah, I was just talking about appreciation and how I feel like a lot of times we don't always show appreciation to the people and things around us. But like, we could be sometimes very quick to point out all the bad things they do and all the mistakes they make. And yeah, they seemed longer than usual. Really? Wagwan today, Sam? What happened today? I was like up quite late yesterday, so like this morning I didn't really sleep that much. So this morning when I got up, I was like still tired. But you know when you wake up and you can't always get back to sleep, it was kind of like that. So it was like for the longest time, it's like I was kind of lying there, just like, okay, I know if I can't sleep, I should do something, but I'm just too tired to actually do something. So it was just, yeah, that was my morning. I think we're all guilty of that sometimes. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, we gotta be appreciative of the things around us and the people around us. You know. Because could end up creating unnecessary situations when we're, you know, because I see what I see happen quite a bit is people would be very quick to point out the mistakes people make or the bad things people do or the things they get wrong. They'll be very quick to point that stuff out, but the very, very rarely, if ever, show any kind of appreciation for the good things they do. And it just creates such a bad perception. Oh, what's that? Because, like, I mean, I'm gonna assume that this has happened to you at some point. Well, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. We'll see. But I imagine it's probably happened to you at some point where either somebody's called your name, they've called out to you, and immediately you just kind of felt like, oh, what now? You know, like that. Or maybe, or I don't know, maybe you called out to somebody and you noticed that on their that as their expression as you called out to them, they're just kind of like, oh, what now? You know, that kind of thing. It's like when people are always pointing out the mistakes you make or the things you get wrong or the bad things or this, that, and the other, and they never say anything about the good things you're doing. You just kind of, and yeah, like I said, I see quite a few examples of that. You just see how it affects people and how it could just like ruin people's confidence at times, you know. you know, for a long day down there and to talk about it. It's cool. I understand. If you'd rather not, it's all good. But whenever you're ready, if ever you're ready. But I don't know, man. I feel like the more we learn about people and the more we learn about humanity, for me at least, it feels like the more we learn, the more I think we realize I realize we don't know. You know, like how we treat people in general in society now is massively different to how it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and so on. But it's like even now, it still feels like there's stuff we either don't know or refuse to acknowledge. You know what I mean? It kind of feels like that. As much as we talk about, you know, mental health more now, as much as we talk about compassion and kindness and things like that more now, and as much of it's less of a stigma to be more open about your emotions these days, it still kind of feels like, you know, at times that's just that fairy people talk, you know, that it's not that real talk, you know, because when it comes down to it, what's changed? You know, as much as things changed, a lot stays the same. Not going to lie, I've been guilty of it and had it done to me also. Yeah. Me too. You know, used to work in a place where I was training people. It's part of my gig, it's part of the job, and as part of that, you know, you give feedback, and I'll just generally let people know what they're doing. And yeah, I think there was times there where I would not always point out, you know, the good things that people are doing or what they're doing well. You know, I think I definitely made quite a bit of mistakes during that time. I mean, not to shoot myself too much in the foot. I think there's certain things I did well, and I think there's certain things that even to this day I'm like, I did that really well actually. I feel like I did that really well. But yes, certainly. if I'm gonna be honest, and I should be honest as always, yeah, there were things that I did not so well, and that was one of them. You know, just not always. I feel like in reality, you should be as quick as you are to let somebody know they've done something wrong. Should be as quick as you are to let people know they've done something right. You know, that's how it should be. As that should be. And I know it doesn't always go that way, and you know, our mood swings and changes and this, that, and the third. But yeah, I feel like ideally, if you're gonna let somebody know they're doing something wrong, then you need to be letting them know what they're doing right as well. Because yeah, it's. I think especially if it's like somebody in a position of authority or some kind of importance, because the way I've seen that sort of thing affects people's confidence, affects people's just general mood and their day, you know, how it can make coming to work just so miserable, and how that then affects the rest of your day. And it's a simple thing just to say, hey, you know, that was really cool, you know. And even that's a great use from my childhood. Even after all these years, I still get silenced. Yeah, I think I know that feeling as well. Yeah, as much as people could say things like, oh yeah, you could talk to me about anything. You could come talk to me about anything. But when you try to talk to them, doesn't always go so well now, does it? I think I know that feeling. So yeah, by the way, I think my plant, my California poppy, who I named Pepper, I think she's dying. I mean, I guess to be fair, it's too early to tell, but I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it. You know, I was looking at her this morning, and then a bit later, some hours later, and yeah, it looks like she's dying. I mean, I think to be honest, she was probably dying before I moved from one pot to the other, because like that pot was too small, and the seeds were really close together, and so when they were growing, they were really tangled, and I guess it wasn't getting the right sun or whatever. I don't know the science behind it, but I guess something like that. When I originally planted it, was like a lot of the seeds were like really close together, and so it grew kind of all tangled up. And then moving the plant from one pot to another possibly damaged some roots along the way. So yeah, I think she may not be with us much longer. But you live and learn, right? You live and learn. So I'll try again, but this time have a bigger pot and space the seeds out more. And hopefully that's that's better. I don't know anything about plants and planting and flowers and garden. I don't know anything about that. Well, we'll say not anything, but I don't know much about it, is what I should say. But I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. I'm supposed to think about the good stuff from a child. The problems is I don't really remember a lot, and I did a whole lot of suppressing. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? How even in your big adult years, things from your childhood can still mess you up. And it's good that we can recognize that, because that means we can do something about it. Well, try our best to do something about it, right? But yeah, just the fact that things from like 25, 30 years ago or more can still just kind of mess you up years later. It still kind of affects how you see things in the world. Just your general kind of outlook on the world and society and people, and how it affects how you deal with people around you. And we're talking about things from like 25, 30 years, 35 years, like when you really trace it back as to who you are now and why you think the way you think, or why you do the things the way you do, you kind of trace it back, and it's like, yeah, it was that moment when you were 6 years old, 7 years old, or whatever, like. Shame though, your next client is a second child. Well, technically it'd be the third, because the first one just didn't sprout at all. So this would be the third attempt, really. The first one I did not sprout at all. There's not even a peep, not even a little peek, not like a little peekaboo, nothing. Did not sprout at all. So yeah, the other one is the one that did sprout, but that's messed up. So this would be the third child, really. This would be the third child. They say third, was the third one's a charm, I think they say, right? Is that how it goes? Third one's a charm? So yeah, maybe this would be the one. I've had a few experiences. I've learned a few lessons. Maybe this would be the one that we get. That we can grow into a good size flower pot, or flower, yeah. What's funny though? I don't know if it's funny. It's interesting to me, but I never really had much interest in flowers and planting and that kind of stuff. Like, I remember like we grew cress when I was in primary school, and that's about the extent of any kind of planting I've ever done in my entire life. And the reason this kind of came about me, doing these planting stuff now, is, it would have been, I guess, some months ago. I can't remember exactly when, but it would have been maybe 3-4 months ago now, where a lady got in my car and she had a whole bunch of flowers with her, tulips. And she asked me if I wanted one, and I said, "Oh no, it's fine. You don't have to give me anything." This was cool. And she's like, "Oh no, you can have one. You can have one." And she gave me one tulip, a tulip stem, and it was really cool. Like I can't lie. Like I don't think anybody's ever given me flowers before, you know. And it was just like a really cool thing that I don't know why exactly I thought it was really cool, but it just felt like really cool that she gave me a flower. You know, like some I don't know this person. You don't have to give it to her. I even said, you know, that's cool. You don't have to, and it would have been fine. I wouldn't have complained. What up, Al? But yeah, she gave me a flower. She gave me a tulip. But the thing is, I got home. I put it in water, and but the thing is, because it's been cut. You know, when you have tulips, you buy them from the shop. They cut the stem off, so there's no roots. And when it's like that, they don't live much longer. So I put it in water when I got home, but it lasted about a week ish, give or take. I think just about a week, and then it started to wither and die. And it just kind of made me sad that I had this thing that was given to me, and even though I knew that was going to happen, I knew that because there's no roots, if it was going to die, but it still was like it was kind of sad. So I was like, I wanna plant my own plant. I think I want to do that. I want to get some seeds and plant them. So yeah, that's how that came about. Just because somebody gave me a flower, and now I'm buying flower pots and seeds, and I just ordered a funnel so you could put the water into the pot without making a mess. Oh, the different types of seeds. So I could grow different types of plants. So that's all it took was somebody buying me a flower. Well, somebody giving me a flower rather. That's all it took. Somebody giving me a flower, and now I'm planting stuff and doing things that I've never even thought to do before. Like I've never given planting, and like I had a garden. Well, I've got a garden now. Really, from kind of flexing a little bit still, but grew up. Have a garden, right? Um, but yeah, even then it was like never really thought about gardening in that way or planting, and just, there's always been flowers in the house, but it's like never really thought about. It was just like stuff that my mum had, you know what I mean? I just never gave it any kind of thought. All it took was somebody to give me a tulip, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. No one has ever bought me flowers either. Oh, one day, I'm gonna give Summer flowers. I would need proper intense therapy to unlock all that, and I like not remembering. That's the thing, is that sometimes the comfort is in the remembering, sometimes the comfort is in the not remembering. But yeah, I get that. Okay, well, what can I say, man? It doesn't take much. Being into blind either, yeah. I just never given it any kind of thought. Always kind of felt like, whatever, man. That's an old people thing, isn't it? that's for girls and old people. That's kind of attitude I had towards it. That's for girls and old people. I ain't into that, but well, I guess technically I'm an old man now, so maybe maybe that was it. I'm an old man now, so there you go. But yeah, I think I've got it understood now, though. That I mean, the pot that I had before is a decent sized pot for, I guess, for some smaller flowers, but for this one, not so much. Especially because I had a whole bunch of it in that same pot, it didn't work out so well. I think if I'm going to use a pot that size, then I definitely need to not put so many seeds in there. Like maybe put like, I don't know, like 5 seeds at the most, stuff like that. But certainly not as many as I did. I've got a bigger, kind of more spaced out pots now, so I think when I try again, I don't know. I mean, I maybe put like, I guess I'll count this. I don't want to give a number because I'm not sure how many seeds I'm gonna put, but I'll space the seeds out so that there's maybe, I don't know, maybe an inch apart or something like that, like an inch, 2 inches apart. I think is a good kind of spacing for this kind of flower, so that when it grows, each one's got some space and they're not kind of just tangling into each other, and that kind of thing. I got some weeds, not the wacky kind of weed. You're gonna have
saying? But when I remember stuff is I feel intensely like it just happened, and I feel bad for ages.
Yeah. Yeah, some memories just stick with us, huh? They just stick with us a lot longer than we need them to. Yeah. Mm. Need to try and get away from it a little bit. Just trying to. I mean, there's a lot you can do with your mind in terms of whether it's suppressing things or training yourself to kind of not think about things, or anytime it kind of pops up in your mind, do something to kind of take it off. And they're not bad tactics, but I mean, depending on what exactly it is, it may not necessarily be a good way of dealing with it either, you know.
But I'm saying I've got loads in my garden ready. Need to get that cut.
The thing about weeds, though, is that weeds kind of have a bad name, but a dandelion is a type of weed. I don't know how many people know that, but yeah, dandelion is a type of weed. At least I think it is. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. I'm pretty sure I read that a dandelion is a type of weed. Though usually when people say weeds, they mean like the, you know, the not so nice looking ones that just grow out the concrete. The ones that just grow out the concrete. It's like, why are you growing out the concrete? Why are you growing out of? What are you do? You have no business growing out of concrete. But yeah, they do. They grow out the concrete. They grow out the grass, and they just don't look too nice. Just kind of make a mess of things. It's like. But yeah, I think there's things that you get like, I don't know if it's a thing. I might have to look into it. But I think there's like things you can get like, it's called like weed killer or something. You sprinkle it on your garden and it kills the weeds or whatever, or something like that. Something like that. I'm not fully fledged gardener just yet, but I'm learning. I'm learning. There's actually a few different plants I want to buy, and one of them, in fact, both of them actually proven to be really difficult to find, because I'm looking for specific type of plants. So one of them is called an no, let me say this right. Aglaonema. Aglaonema. All right. I mean, those, there are people selling them, but they're like really expensive, and the reviews, like the shop reviews, are really not that good. Like, I don't want to spend that kind of money. And when people are saying, like, oh yeah, the shop sells me like garbage, you got like notes about the shop saying, oh yeah, they sold me something that looked like cabbage seeds, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to spend that kind of money on a place that might not sell me what I'm actually trying to buy. There's a bit of a risk, I think. There's a bit of a risk. And the other type of plant I want to get, or more of a tree really, is a bonsai tree, but more specifically the juniper bonsai tree. And that seems to be a really difficult one to find, because there's loads of places selling bonsai seeds. But so I can't find anybody selling juniper bonsai seeds. Like, there's different types, like what Chinese elm you can get. I think there's one called red bush or something like that. There's so many different types of bonsai. But the one that I'm looking for is juniper. And I just can't find anybody selling the juniper bonsai. And I don't know whether it's because it's just that rare, or I mean, I have to assume it's because it's rare, because I can't imagine it being an unpopular brand of bonsai, since that's the one that was used in Karate Kid, right? I'd imagine, I'd somewhat assume, I guess, more people would be looking for that type of bonsai than any other type of bonsai, or at least, you know, in general. So I can't imagine it being an unpopular option. So my only sort of guess is that it must be a super rare type of bonsai that you can't find many, if any, places selling it. So I'm gonna have to do some digging with that one. But I did buy some bonsai seeds that hopefully should be arriving in a week or so. Not the ones from Karate Kid, not the same type of bonsai and Karate Kid, but it's similar. It's similar. It's similar in shape. They're about the closest I could find to the ones that were in Karate Kid. So not exact ones, but pretty close. One of the things that bonsai trees take a long time to grow, so that's going to take some patience, methinks.
I don't know anything about gardening. I'm not Alan Titchmarsh. I grew up with all my biological father's crap. My mom's constantly telling me I'm the best thing. I'm the one in the family as a child, especially because all I had them building walls because I never grew out of it. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, it's tough, man, isn't it? So I feel sometimes you don't realize how much you went through until years after you've gone through it. And strong one. Oh, strong one. Okay, gotcha. But yeah, don't realize how much you go through until you've gone through it. And I think part of that is because, like, you know, it just feels normalized because maybe other kids are going through the same sort of thing. So you just feel like, okay, it's just how it is. It just is what it is. But just because something is normal, that doesn't mean it's good, you know? And then part of it is like, because it is kind of normal and everyone else is going through something similar, you kind of feel like you don't want to complain about it because, you know, right? But again, it's like, it's still feelings that you have. It's still things that you're experiencing. And yeah, sometimes not until years later that you kind of look back at it and think, you know what? Like, I was thinking the other day that when I think back on some of the relationships I've had where when they've ended, and most of them, well, pretty much all of them never really lasted that long anyway. So it's kind of, you know, it's that. But when they ended, like a lot of them ended on some BS on my part. And, you know, you kind of think about, where does that come from? You know, why is it that, you know, I'm too quick to like this, you know, break something off rather than work through an issue? And I was kind of dialing it back where I don't think I know. I mean, I'm probably sure I do, but certainly in like, say, my immediate family, or close family, you know, I don't think I know of any good examples of a successful marriage. I know plenty of examples of a long marriage where people have been married for a long time, but a successful marriage, I'm not sure that I know of any examples of a successful marriage. And it's like, maybe part of me is not wanting to get into that with somebody, feeling like I could be that person who's ends up being jealous of their partner or angry over something or too much in their own ego, you know? You know, I know a lot of people look at marriages now and say things, oh yeah, there's a high divorce rate. Marriages back in the day were so much better, were more successful because they lasted long. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that's true. You know, marriages lasted longer, sure, but what I've seen and what people have told me, you know, I don't think a lot of marriages were actually successful. And I don't mean, you know, you're always gonna have problems. You're always gonna have like issues that arise and things that come up. That's just by the by. That's what it is. But I mean, like, you know, abuse, you know, mental abuse, physical abuse in some cases, just general like fighting over stupid things. And what I see a lot of is not so much a successful, happy marriage, but just two people who just put up with each other. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I say people just putting up with each other. They don't, I don't know if they love each other. I'm not even sure if they like each other, but they're just putting up with each other over this idea that that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You just stay with them and you just put, and I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be that misery to somebody. And I don't want someone to be that misery to me, you know? So I kind of was thinking, like, perhaps, I don't know if that is the reason, but perhaps that's one of the reasons why, you know, when I've been with people and it's any kind of inkling that there's a possibility, you know, it's been like me usually, I don't think I've gotten better, by the way. I mean, I'm talking about things from years ago now. So I feel like I've gotten better since then. But yeah, so like, I remember a few times where it's just been broken up over some nonsense, and it's kind of like, where does that come from, you know?
Someone swore at me today. They accused me of being normal. I thought I ain't having that.
Hey, normal is overrated.
People have ideals when it comes to relationships. But truth is, relationships are a lot of work, and you have to work hard to maintain it.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And you know, there's a lot of stuff that happens where, you know, you kind of figure out how you get past it. You know, how you work together to get past it. So I'm certainly not suggesting that people should just break up because you don't like the way somebody ties their shoelaces. Although, if the person pours the milk before they pour the cereal, that's definitely reasons to break up with somebody. Like, I will die on that hill. If you're ever with somebody and they pour the milk into the bowl before the cereal, call it off. Call it off. That's that's a deal breaker right there. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have issues that arise, and it's important to try and work through those when you believe it's something worth maintaining. Ideally, though, you're in a relationship with somebody who sees the value in working through it, because sometimes I think what happens is that one person is trying to work through the problems, and another person maybe doesn't really care that much, and it just feels like one person's making all the efforts while the other person's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. You know, I think if you're in a relationship like that where it's very one-sided, that could be a problem. And that may be a sign that this isn't a one for you, right? But yeah, in general, I mean, if you're having, I mean, you're gonna have problems, and as long as the problems are, say, within a manageable, whatever, for lack of a better phrase, and as long as both parties are, you know, trying to get past those problems and trying to work through those problems, then yeah, you know, try to get through those as best as you can. But yeah, I think there's always going to be things that nobody should be putting up with, and that's going to vary from one person to another, of course. But there's always going to be that point where it's like, enough's enough, you know, enough's enough. And but back in the day, you know, in the older generations, that enough is enough just never happened, or that enough's enough, it would happen, and a person would want to leave or want to end it, but they wouldn't. And whether that's out of their own ego, whether it's because they don't want the world to see they've got problems, you know, I feel like a lot of the older generation, you know, there's a lot of pride involved and a lot of how things look to other people involved, and it just messes up so much when you're trying to maintain the illusion that you're in this happy relationship, happy, successful relationship, when the reality is it's crumbling. But it feels like a lot of times people would rather maintain an illusion than actually work through the issues or do what you need to do to, you know, make sure you're okay. And I ain't trying to live like that. I ain't trying to live like that. I'm trying to spend my life pretending I like somebody who's pretending to like me. You know, I don't want to do that. That sounds like a terrible idea to me. So yeah. But hey, it's getting late, it's getting dark, and I don't have my light with me.
Never thought I was forgiving fidelity, but I did.
That's a tough one though, isn't it? Because when it happens, it's like everybody is going to be in your ear about leaving the person, right? But then only you know whether that person is worth sticking with or not. And it's a difficult thing because there's cases where somebody forgave the infidelity and the person just kept doing it, right? There's cases where the person never forgave the infidelity and then the other person changed and became a wonderful human being, and you know what I mean, and went on to do great, all that kind of stuff, right? The truth is, I guess you never really know. All you can do is go by what you believe to be right in that moment, against all the people in your ear telling you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. All you can do is go by what you believe to be right in that moment, and hopefully you are right. Hopefully, your choice is the right one. But if it isn't, then yeah, it's time to be like, hey, I gave this guy a chance, but not another one. But yeah. I feel like when it comes to that sort of thing, there'd be like guys out there who say stuff like, "Oh, I've never cheated on my girl. I've never cheated on my girl," right? And that could be true, but Chris Rock said this once. He said, "A man is as faithful as his options," and he said that in a stand-up show. So it's intended as a joke, intended as humor. That being said, I don't think he's completely wrong. I mean, look, there are guys out there who will, no matter what, won't cheat on you. And I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to label all guys. But certainly a lot of us, in fact, I can remember a time in my younger days where I was actively looking to be unfaithful to the person that I was with. Like, I had it like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to cheat on this person. I had that in my mind as a thing that I'm going to do, like a decision I made to go do it. It never happened because turns out I don't have that many options. But yeah, I think there is a truth to that. Hopefully, I think these days, I'd like to think these days I'm not that guy anymore, and I wouldn't regardless. But hey, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not tempted. I'm not. I can't be tempted because, boy, sometimes my eyes wander. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my eyes wander. Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. We did split up and I moved away. He had to do serious work. It wasn't like I just forgave him. He had to earn his way back. Yeah. Yeah. So when you split up, was it like a Ross from Friends situation where, you had your own fun, and then when you got back to this guy was like, any time he brings up the time that the other guy is like, we were on a break. You get to use the "we were on a break" though. We were on a break. But all right. It is just about, well, just gone 10 o'clock, about 6 minutes past 10. So I think it is time to start winding this live stream down. It's just about an hour I've been streaming for. So yeah, I'm gonna start winding this down and heading out. I didn't actually, that was a mess. I used the time to focus on myself. Oh, cool. That's good. That's probably the best thing. I'm not sure what I would do in that situation. Like, I feel like I'd probably want to go out, like if I was with someone that cheated on me and then we split up for a while, like I feel like I'd want to go out and just like bang every girl I come across. But I don't know. Like I said before, I'm not sure my options are like that. But hopefully it doesn't come to it doesn't. Well, whatever happens, happens. But yeah, it's the right thing to do is to work on yourself, to focus on yourself, and to, you know, figure out what you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. That's the right. You did the right thing. You did the good thing. I'm not sure I would have done the right thing, but you did. You did. So yeah, big up, Sam. But yeah, it's getting late. It's getting dark. It is just past 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna start winding down, guys. I should hope. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah. So yeah, I should be streaming on Monday. I'm not gonna be doing the film thing. That didn't come through. Or rather, it did, but they started changing like some of the details around it. So I was like, nah, allow it. Gonna die. Oh, it's broken. Rest in peace, Grandpa. Got through it though. Indeed. See you soon. Take care. Appreciate coming through, guys. Appreciate coming through in this impromptu live stream. But yeah, so yeah, should be streaming on Monday, movie night. What are we watching again? The Crow. That was it, The Crow. Delightfully terrible movie. But then I don't know. I haven't seen it for a long time. Maybe my opinion on it has changed. We'll see. But yeah, it's a Crow for this Monday. And yeah, maybe I'll post a video or two if I can. I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't think I've been posting too much lately, but we'll see. But yeah, check out my other channels if you're not already. I think you guys are checking out my other channels anyway. How dare you? Brandon Lee's last movie, but yeah, we gotta give it some respect. Gotta give it some respect. It's Brandon Lee's last movie, so we gotta give it some respect. But yeah, so yeah, that stuff. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the minute, guys. You've been awesome as always. I appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you for keeping the company. Thank you for keeping it lively. Village is strong, because you make it strong. I'm only gonna get stronger. Okay, Kevin and Nuts. It's a classic. Well, I best get a chastity belt then. A chastity belt? No, that's not the right one. A jockstrap, that's what I wanted. Better get a jockstrap. So yeah, Monday I'm gonna have a jockstrap on just in case. All right, till whenever, if ever.